Hi guys, we're over halfway through this month challenge, whatever, and today I want to talk about sleep because I am not getting much sometimes. Tomorrow's topic is sex. Anyway, okay, I want to talk about sleep. Why do we need sleep? What's it good for, sort of thing? Okay, the real reason we need sleep is because the world is secretly a simulation, and the engines need time to reboot and update. Again, I'm joking. I'm full on joking. Could be though. Anyway, so why do we actually need sleep? What does it do? Okay, your muscles have a thing called the lymph system, which goes throughout your body, and it basically cleans out the amino acids left over when you work out. That cramp, that burn, that's if you have a cramp or something like that, it's basically left over junk from the energy you used to use your muscles. Yeah, if the fuel is wood or something like that, and the muscles are going, they have a fire, there's a furnace going or whatever, the cramp is caused by too much ash. That ash has to be cleared out, and the lymph system does this. Your brain doesn't have a lymph system. It's pretty much the only muscle that doesn't. So what happens, and you might be able to kind of jump ahead here, because with that explanation and use it on the brain. So the brain needs to clear itself out as well. It needs to, again, clean out the gunk, except it's not gunk from used energy, it's gunk from thoughts. If you know the details of neurochemistry, and actually no, it's not as complicated as I'm trying to make it sound. If you went to school and you did biology and all the rest, you might know what a neuron is, what it looks like. These are the cells in your brain, and essentially they're like a big long stick, and they have like fingers or like roots on either end, roughly. I'm simplifying it, but okay, this is what they do. So it's a big long stick. That's where the electric goes through, and it has these branches or roots, and that's what picks it up from the other cell. So the electricity goes through, and then at the end of this, it releases your neurochemicals. This is what alcohol affects. This is what any of your drugs affect. They're the chemicals in your brain. So they leave the roots, and then they are picked up by the roots of the next cell. So they go across, there's like little landing sites there, and they will land there, and if enough of them land off, it'll spark up and the neuron will fire. It'll go. Okay, these chemicals get retracted back into the original cell. Not all of them do. Not all of them get back. Not all of them work. Like they can just sometimes they can just kind of float in that little space between, because there's just not enough force to pull them back, or they just whatever. That happens hundreds of times, thousands of times as you're thinking throughout the day and all the rest, and there's just chemicals left over, and sometimes they come back at the wrong time, and you're just like, ooh, or something. It'll hit you wrong. Not too often, because for it to hit you wrong, enough would have to hit off to fire the neuron, which is rare. But not rare when you're dreaming. Okay. So it really doesn't affect your daytime thinking, to be honest. But when you're dreaming, if we know what a brain looks like, it looks like a bunch of, like a rope or something like that, just all kind of like tangled up. Like roughly speaking, you know, it looks something like that. Okay? And your brain shrinks during sleep. And I don't mean shrinks as in the size of it gets smaller. I mean that the rope gets thinner. Does that make sense? If you try and think of the brain as just a bunch of jumbled up rope, the actual size of it doesn't get smaller, but the rope itself, those things, that way it winds and all the rest, that gets thinner, allowing more of your cerebral fluid, more of the water in your head to enter your brain and to kind of wash through it, or to essentially clean it out. And this is This is the leading theory on why you need sleep. It is also the leading theory on why we dream. Because if you are now having this extra space and you're having this extra liquid come in and try and like clean everything up, you are for sure going to have some of these chemicals that are left floating. You're going to have them hit off the neuron, and if enough of them hit off it, it will fire and you will have a thought. So the theory then for this, for dreaming or whatever, is that, and once that one fires, it will fire the next one, and it will, like, you know, it likely will fire the next one, whatever. And you'll have a thought. So these are they are the thoughts you're having during sleep. And your dreams then are your interpretation of your thoughts. Because how do I phrase this? What you consciously think, what you consciously feel, what you recognize isn't always what's happening. And an easy analogy for this is panic attack and excitement. If you get stage fright and all the rest, and you're just like, holy crap, I have to talk in front of people and it's going to be really difficult and I'm kind of panicking a wee bit or whatever. And then you compare that to someone who's just like, yeah, okay, we're going to talk in front of people. I'm going to say this, I'm going to do that. Okay, we're ready, we're excited, we're going. Neurochemically, just the chemicals in your brain are the exact same for both of those. It is excitement, it is adrenaline, it is, you are hyper-focused on the present moment, which can make you hyper-focused on your heartbeat and it's like, oh my God, my heart's going like 90. Or it can make you hyper-focused on your thoughts, saying like, you know, okay, I'm going to say this, and you're planning everything out, you're running through it again, because if you're watching a film, you're now watching it frame by frame, rather than just kind of lazily watching the whole thing and kind of missing some parts that aren't important. If you're excited, you're watching every frame, you're very present. Okay, that's a side note. So dreams are the interpretation of the firings. So if something goes off so while you're asleep, if the chemicals for fear or anxiety or excitement go off, because these aren't going to happen one at a time, you're going to have different thoughts hitting different things, and then some form of thought about safety or some thought about home or some thought about something else, and then your brain will just be like, why did those two go together? It makes sense. The only way it makes sense is if, I don't know, King Kong comes along and like crushes my house. Like, yeah, that makes sense. Something like that. Your brain makes a jump and fills in the blanks and gives you an image that makes sense. Kind of. That's your analogy for dreaming. Okay, so you don't need to focus too much on the dreaming. If you want to get into like dream analysis and all the rest, it kind of debunks it a wee bit and all the rest. But it's not the focus. The reason I'm telling you why we sleep or why it's important or what it does is because I want you to know that when you are still awake at like 1 o'clock in the morning, I want you to know what you're doing to your brain. You're essentially cramping it like you would a muscle. That's what's happening. You're slowing down. And it's just because the spaces are getting clogged up with just gunk from thoughts and from just like leftovers from thoughts or something like that. And you need to sleep to just clear it out, to give your brain just clear space to communicate freely, to communicate better with itself, like the neurons to communicate better with itself or more easily. That's what you're doing when you're staying up too late. That's what you're doing when you're not getting enough sleep and then trying to demand work from yourself the following day or trying to whatever. Sleep is really important. Now you know why. And just like it won't, like I can't. How many people have told you, like, make sure you get enough sleep or whatever? If you're not getting enough sleep, it's not because no one told you. And it's not because anything else. It's not because there isn't enough hours in the day. This should be, like, you should be able to fit this in. So the reason I'm telling you this is just not that hopefully maybe by knowing how you're damaging or knowing how you're affecting your brain, if you just stay conscious of how you're doing it, not just the fact that, oh, I'm not getting enough sleep and I'm kind of tired. It's just like, okay, I'm overworking a tired muscle here. This thing needs to be cleaned out. This thing needs a service. I need to sleep. If you understand that, hopefully you're more likely to sleep. That's it. Because I know for sure all you creatives are just like burn the midnight oil and candle at both ends. And we're just like, we're going hard. No rest. Rest is for bitches. Anyway, okay, I have to go to work. So that's it for today. I will see you again tomorrow. Let me know what you thought. Bye, guys.